Hi, I'm James McKim, here today to talk about sustainability in the food industry. Now, with the rise in the desire to support sustainable businesses over the past decade, the food industry must make changes to adapt to these desires. Now, current food production methods are inherently unsustainable and damaging to our environment. Over 40% of food produced is wasted. This amounts to 133 billion pounds annually. Food also makes up 20% of landfill weight and accounts for 37% of global methane emissions, the greenhouse gas that is more damaging than carbon dioxide. Other effects of food waste include deforestation, water contamination, air pollution, as well as billions of dollars lost. Now, this chart breaks down the top three consumer economies: United States, United Kingdom, and Germany, and the percent of the population that believes their individual purchasing power has a direct impact on the environment. As you can see, America lags behind at just 36%, which amounts to about 97 million Americans. This chart breaks down Americans by generation. Over 60% of each generation cares about sustainability as a value. However, younger generations are far more willing to spend more money on environmentally friendly foods versus older generations. Now, possible solutions for more sustainability is for businesses to begin recycling their food waste and for businesses to look further in depth at renewable energy.
So, the first solution we're going to discuss is reducing food waste. In an article titled How Restaurants Are Tackling Waste, it states that nearly 80 billion pounds of food are wasted in the US each year. Now, this can be a result of overproduction, unsuccessful employee training, improper food storage, or a lack of access to composting facilities. So, imagine the amount of emissions that one car can produce. If you multiply that by 37 million, that is how much food waste produces, according to the National Resources Defense Council. So there are several ways to reduce this waste. However, not all of them are plausible for the food industry. So looking at this food recovery hierarchy here, we can see that the top way to reduce waste would be to reduce your sources altogether. And now this is an obvious answer, but it's not really plausible for restaurants due to their unpredictability. The next best options would be to feed this food to people in need or to animals. However, not all food waste is safe to consume. So the next best option would be industrial uses, but this really only applies to oils, greases, and fats. So for large amounts of food that restaurants produce, the best option would be composting. So composting is the act of breaking down food scraps and turning it into a rich soil, as you can see in this photo. And you can use this soil to fertilize and enrich land for farming. And by using this soil rather than synthetic chemical fertilizers, you reduce the risk of consuming something that can be harmful. So, not everything can be composted. So, this is a list here of things that can and can't be. And on our left hand side, we have fruit and vegetable waste. This would be the thing that they would compost the most. And this would be things such as banana peels, the leaves on your strawberries, the ends of your vegetables that you don't eat. And this also applies to materials such as napkins and cardboard. Things that you can't be composted seem pretty self explanatory, such as dairy products, meat, bones, and toxic materials. So, though composting is not done everywhere because it is a large investment, it is done in a few places. So many restaurants have actually begun composting right in their own facility. So this is an image from a restaurant called For Food, which is located in New York, and they actually have their own composting machine in their basement. So this is where customers can throw their stuff away, and as you can see, it's divided up into different sections. And in that food and bottles section, somebody would sort through that at the end of the day and compost what could be composted. So this is a great example of how a restaurant can start this process and be a positive catalyst for change in the food industry simply by reducing waste and doing their own part. Another possible solution to increasing sustainability in the food industry is for businesses to look further in depth at renewable energy. RPS numbers allow businesses to understand and take control of their renewable energy. Renewable energy is measured by RPS numbers. RPS is the Renewable Portfolio Standard. These numbers are predetermined per state. They also help create more jobs, more renewable energy, decreasing electronic waste, and etc. This chart is an example of Arizona's renewable portfolio. As you can see, in 2007, renewable sources were as low as 1.5%, while now we're expecting a 15% jump by 2025. E-waste is one of the leading causes of detrimental loss of renewable energy. Ways to make a difference and change the cycle of e-waste include: 1. When throwing away electronic devices, the businesses could either donate them or give them to decomposing company. Decomposing companies are more common than you think, such as Best Buy, Canon, Sprint, and even Amazon. You just ship your electronic devices to them. You could even make a profit out of it. They'll pay you for it, and then they will decompose it for you and throw it away properly. These companies will take your old electronic devices and break them down correctly. They also reuse parts that have the ability to work in other electronics. 2, instead of throwing out old computers and electronic devices, try to replace the parts that are broken in order to fix the device instead of throwing it out. So instead of, say my computer were to break down, instead of just throwing away the whole computer and getting a new one, I would take it to a specialist and see what exactly is wrong with it and then replace that part in it. So I'm not just throwing away the whole laptop and getting a new one. It saves me money and it saves the environment. 3, choose to limit the amount of devices you or your business uses. This will cut the electronic waste numbers down dramatically. So the example I thought of for this one is at Kroger. They have around 15-20 lanes, but only 3 of them get used. So instead of having those 10 extra cash registers that are just collecting dust and will soon be electronic waste, why wouldn't you just use the 3 computers that you have and that you regularly use?
Plastic has not only polluted our environment, but has posed a threat to human health. Studies have found that chemicals in plastic have led to metabolic disorders and fertility reduction. Although the use of plastic will remain high, there are ways in which we can reduce the harms of plastic. Approximately 60% of all plastics produced worldwide are used for food packaging. Food industries can be more sustainable with the use of biodegradable plastic or bioplastics. Bioplastics are bio-based and derived from biomass. The definition of biodegradable plastic means plastics that can be decomposed of by living organisms. The necessary steps for biodegrading include moisture, temperature, and microorganisms. Use of bioplastics are increasing, but still account for less than 1% of the global plastic market. Restaurants should invest in biodegradable plastic. The greenhouse gas emissions associated with their production are less than that of regular plastics. Restaurants should also offer eco-friendly food packaging. Eco-friendly food packaging uses materials with minimal impact on energy consumption. Being eco-friendly goes far beyond recycling. It eliminates the use of toxic waste. For example, restaurants should offer paper-to-go packaging as a sustainable choice instead of styrofoam packaging. Paper-to-go packaging restores the recycling system, but most importantly are manufactured by renewable energy.
So the big question is, what now? Food production, transportation, recycling of food waste, and taking control of renewable energy are all huge factors in becoming more sustainable as a company. Being conscious of these sustainability factors could in turn lead to better health, longer lasting, and unmatched support from your community. When browsing for businesses to buy from or even products for businesses to sell, you could ask yourself the following questions. 1, are our products manufactured in a sustainable fashion? 2, are our products made from recycled or renewable material? 3, are our products recyclable or compostable? And if not, what's a change I can make in order to make this happen? And then 3 or 4, do we monitor our RPS numbers and try to use renewable energy?
With all hands on deck and keeping everyone accountable when it comes to packaging, internal operations, etc., it will make a substantial increase in sustainability of businesses.